Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Ipshita Bansal from BPS Women's University, Sonipat. Today we are going to talk about the module Gender and Communication from the paper Business Communication. By the end of this module, the students will be able to understand first the basic differences between the communication styles of men and women. Second, the consequences of communicative gender differences. And third, the strategies to deal with the gender differences in communication. Gender plays a vital role in laying rules to communicate. Babies, when born, are in clean linguistic state. They learn and acquire language through listening and observing their caretakers. Through observation, they pick up cues, when to talk, how to talk, when to remain silent, etc. Various studies over the years suggest that because of certain specific styles of female communication, barriers have been created for women with respect to being selected in employment and promotion interviews. Having the ability to be heard in important meetings, negotiating for getting organizational resources and benefits, etc. As men and women adopt specific styles of masculine and feminine communication, it often leads to a variety of misunderstandings between them at workplace. Many books based on such researches have been published, such as Deborah Tannen's You Just Don't Understand Men and Women in Conversation in 1990 and Talking from 9 to 5 in 1994. Marianne Woodall's How to Talk So Men Will Listen in 1990 and John Gray's Women Are From Venus and Men Are From Mars in 1992. Why is there a need to study gender and communication? Through study of communication and gender, an understanding can be developed with respect to how culture and socialization within a cultural context influences masculinity and femininity in men and women respectively. It helps in delving deeper into one's own gender, leading to introspection. It aids in increasing awareness about how cultural expectations of gender were and are communicated to people in daily lives. Once we are aware about the differences in communication style of men and women, we can strengthen ourselves as communicators and orators as it helps us to make informed choices. So, let's now understand what is gender. Sex, that is being a man or a woman, is biological. Gender is sociological. Children as young as 3 years of age have clear knowledge about their gender. In society, boys and girls are taught to behave in different manner according to socially accepted and stereotyped roles right from childhood. The society defines values, meanings, expectations as good and bad with respect to men and women. Gender stereotypes are so deeply entrenched in our institutions, beliefs, and actions that they seem natural. One of the most important practices of society is communication. We are surrounded by communication that carries the social views of gender with it. From magazines to TV commercials to radio, we hear and see thin women and bulky men. On the one hand, a fat woman is considered unappealing, and on the other, a thin and lanky man is considered unappealing. It is seen that boys are given greater freedom as compared to girls in families. Every time when we think about the household work, it is a picture of a woman or a girl that comes to our mind. Women are always seen taking care of indoor activities, whereas the men are supposed to take care of the outdoor activities. There are certain expected behavior from men and women with respect to communication as well. For example, the society expects that girls should not show anger, not laugh loudly, and always speak softly. But it is alright if boys adopt aggressive speech and show their anger, sometimes even violently. Once a child identifies himself or herself with specific gender, they focus on growing in that role. These issues may seem small, but they depict our society's view of gender and have had far reaching consequences which cannot be ignored. When we investigate deeper into the subject, we come across four different approaches to gender and communication. The first approach is deficit approach. This approach assumed that men's speech was superior to that of women. Female voice was considered weak and lacking in substance. This approach claimed that female did not finish their thoughts as they did not plan what they were to say, whereas men planned their thoughts. Second approach is dominance approach. This approach highlighted that men dominated women in conversation and women were passive whereas men were aggressive. Third approach, difference approach. This approach highlighted that though men and women have same experiences, but they belong to different subcultures. In addition, it emphasized that men and women uniquely communicate in their own ways. Fourth is dynamic approach. This approach emphasizes that it is because of certain stereotyped socialization of people right from the childhood, men and women behave in particular ways. It is a social construct and so is subject to change over a period of time as the culture changes and evolves. So, what are the gender differences in communication? Many research studies have been conducted on how men and women differ in their communication styles, which further has an impact of the cultures to which they belong to. In organizations, men and women at equal positions are supposed to have equal status, skills, knowledge, and experience. But due to their differing and at times opposing communicative styles, they may not be able to work together effectively. These gender differences are by and large, as stated earlier, are formed due to the societal stereotypes of behavior learned during the growing up years of life. It is important to mention here that all men and women may not communicate as per the general styles of their gender, but studies over the years have identified communicative styles that are more common in each of the genders. So, what are the feminine communication styles? Women in their communications focus on sharing experiences and building rapport and relationships. They try to gain insight and understanding, often by asking a lot of questions. Author Heather R. Human, in an article in Forbes titled "How to Be a Part of the Male Conversations at Work," writes that women focus more on feelings and emotions. John Gray, the author of "Women Are from Venus and Men Are from Mars," states that during their conversations, especially when they meet new people, they ask and talk about the other person, aiming to build mutual trust. Let's now discuss some specific feminine communication styles. Members of feminine speech community are to engage in following 6 strategies. That is, first, showing equity in conversation. Portrays showing that you are similar to the other. Example, when a woman might say, "I felt the same too while watching the movie." Next is showing support. It involves sympathy, emotions, active listening, and being responsive to others. Third feminine communication style is conversational maintenance, which denotes an effort to keep the conversation going. For example, engaging in small talk about the weather, colleagues, family, so that the conversation continues even if there is nothing substantial or important to talk about. Next is responsiveness. It is when we probe in deeper in order to understand the other better. For example, what did you feel when the incident occurred? The next feminine communication style is their personal styles. It is denoted in the communication when a person displays small details, personal references, etc., that highlights his or her ideas. Next is tentativeness. It can be shown in various ways. For examples, when statements are turned into questions. For example, "You must be feeling great on your transfer, right?" Tentativeness helps to maintain communication and connection. So students, let's now try to gain an insight about the masculine communication style. Members of this community demonstrate knowledge, are abstract, focus on instrumentality, and are assertive, and the goal is independence. Men refrain from personal disclosure, that is, they do not disclose details about themselves, or they keep it to the minimum level. For example, during a lecture, the facilitator, who might be a male, takes examples from a third person's life, which may actually be his own personal experiences. Men focus more on facts and logic in their communications. It has been found that men engage in communication for demonstrating their achievements and knowledge and give and get information. They ask lesser number of questions for wanting to understand something. Men during their communications, especially when they meet new people, talk about their achievements, contributions to organizations, and what they can accomplish. It is their way of establishing their credibility. Because women do not communicate with men in the same manner, men may not consider a woman credible if she doesn't quickly establish what she can do as a professional. Let's now understand the effect of gender on non-verbal communication. First point to be considered is artifacts. Artifacts are the objects that communicate identity. For example, pink blankets to wrap small girls, whereas blue blankets to wrap small boys. Toys can be seen as artifacts that influence gender construction. Example, car for boys and dolls for girls. Second, personal space and proxemics. The important dimensions that are covered under this are: firstly, space is in our personal context. That is, when somebody stands close to us, we may not feel comfortable as we feel the person has poached in our personal space. Secondly, physical space, those are accessible to us. For example, rich people have access to larger space as compared to middle or lower class. How this affects gender? In majority of the cases, it is seen that masculine gender have access to greater spaces. It is also observable in some communities that females are restricted to kitchen, whereas their male counterparts have access to the entire house as per their discretion. Third, haptics. It is seen that humans use touch to communicate. Generally, it is seen that women use touch to convey support and care, that is, touching someone's shoulders, whereas men use touch to direct the other person. However, that is not the only case. They also use touch to portray affection towards their partners and care for children. Fourth is kinesics. Men and women use body language to convey different meanings. For example, women use body language to convey care and friendliness, whereas men use it more often to show strength and control. Fifth point is paralanguage. Women use more listening noises, for example, oh, to convey that they are listening to the talk. Men use these noises less often. Being aware of such differences can reduce the misunderstanding and miscommunication between the different genders. Physical attributes. This attribute focuses on body size and shape. It is generally believed that men should be physically stronger and larger, whereas women should be thinner and smaller. Women prefer diets to become thin and maintain their shape, whereas men use weights to give themselves a bulky look. As we can see in the diagram, that communication styles of men and women are quite different. So this diagram will give a summary of the concept. On the one hand, women use their communication styles to build rapport with the other party, whereas men use their communication style to report the events. Women use communication to provide support. Men use communication to project dominance. Women use communication for building relationships. Men use communication to assert their individuality. During communication, women ask more questions, whereas men try to avoid asking questions. Women use communication to cooperate, whereas men use communication to show their assertiveness. The communication style of women is more holistic in nature, whereas the communication style of men is more focused towards the problem or the situation at hand. Women use their communication style in such a manner so that they can see consensus or consensus can be achieved. Men use communication style to give instructions or orders more often. Women use their communication styles to relate to other people. Men use their communication styles to resolve the situations. Although these things are being stated on the basis of the various studies which have been carried out over the years, But we can say that in changing circumstances or in the changing cultures, such stereotyping may not be the final way how men and women communicate. So, having discussed all that, now let us understand what are the consequences of communicative gender differences. The consequences of communicative gender differences, if not handled properly, can be negative for the organizations. The different ways in which men and women communicate can lead to conflict and loss of productivity. In her Forbes article, Heather R. Human, a career expert and consultant, quotes gender diversity expert Connie Glaser, who says that the problem between men and women in workplace is not the fact that they play by different set of rules. The problem is that they don't know these rules. Human adds that when this lack of understanding causes disagreement, men may be able to move on more quickly than women, for whom the conflict has more widespread and long lasting effects. Presently, in organizations, mixed gender communication takes place, so the chances of miscommunications are higher. Gender specialist Barbara Ennis says many men are of the opinion that women may interpret what they say in a way they didn't expect, causing men to feel unsure about how to approach a topic when discussing it with a woman. When women and men engage in interpersonal communication without understanding each other's communicative style, they may unintentionally misinterpret or offend each other. For example, as women tend to have more personalized, empathetic communications for building mutual trust, men may not take them seriously and consider them unprofessional. On the other hand, because men tend to come straight to the point and talk about their achievements more, women may perceive them to be too aggressive. So let's now discuss the chances of miscommunication in cross-gender communication setups. First aspect relates to meaning of questions. Women ask questions in order to keep up the conversation, whereas men may see it as a mechanism to extract information. Moreover, women may be silenced by the way men question. Second, link between speaker turns. Women generally start the conversation by giving acknowledgement to the previous speaker, whereas men do not feel the need to do the same. Sometimes, due to this, women become resentful, feeling their comments have been ignored. Another area of miscommunication relates to shifting of topics. Women generally stick to a topic and discuss it for a longer duration of time as compared to men, who prefer to hop from one topic to another. This may cause communication problems for both the genders. Next area is self-disclosure. Men prefer not to discuss their personal problems, whereas women's conversations are therapeutic as they see it as an opportunity to lighten their heart by sharing their problems and experiences. Men generally occupy the position of expert, giving advice and lecturing to the other speaker. Another area of gender miscommunication relates to verbal aggressiveness. Women avoid arguments, speaking loudly, shouting, and swearing like men. In mixed gender communication, women may find this kind of behavior unethical, whereas it may be normal for men. Next area is interruption. Men look for opportunities to speak, and it is mostly observed that they tend to cross the other speaker. However, due to this, women are generally silenced in mixed gender conversations. The last thing to discuss is related to listening. Women's value the role of listening as they use tags to encourage the speakers, whereas men see the conversations as competition, waiting for their chance to speak, due to which, as seen, women are silenced or speak less in mixed gender communication situations. So we can say that men talk more, interrupt more, appear more certain and confident, talk about their achievements more, claim personal ownership of ideas more, use opposition and debate more, use more direct than indirect speech. Whereas women ask more questions, seek opinions more, give more praise, say thank you more, apologize more, soften criticism more. They complain more, downplay their own authority, and allow themselves to be interrupted more. So, after the discussion on gender and communication and the difference between the two, let's now discuss the strategies to deal with gender differences in communication. First point is call of action for organizations. Organizations, to facilitate effective communication between the genders, should take the following steps. Training programs and awareness workshops should be organized for men and women both. Firstly separately, then jointly, to make them understand about their differing styles of communication. The training programs should focus on how men as well as women should appreciate that women's viewpoints and suggestions are also important, and so women should also be given adequate time to share their thoughts in meetings and group interactions. Women in the workshops should be taught how they should be assertive in their communications. Through formal and informal communication, information should be shared about successful women within the organization who might have served as role models for aspiring capable employees, so that women are able to recognize their potential and become more confident and forthright in their communications. Deliberate effort should be made to include women in all kinds of communications by asking for their opinion at meetings, arranging for their sessions at seminars, noting down and seriously considering their ideas in group interactions, etc. The concerned people should ensure that all written communication reaches all women employees. A watch should be kept for people who are overly critical of women in their speech and writing, and appropriate action should be taken to rectify the situation. This action could take the form of counseling, training, warning, or any other form of punishment in accordance with the gravity of the situation. Informal social gatherings should be organized to promote sharing of views, advice about issues of common interest, etc. The senior organizational members should take special initiative to make structural changes in the office, that is, putting women's offices in centralized locations, and work assignments like giving them opportunities for success projects, that is, include them in projects that provide valuable experience and give them more visibility and confidence. Official communications like notices, circulars, recruitment advertisements should be reviewed to assure that they are non-sexist in language. Now, the strategies related to call of action for men. Men should get ready for and get used to the presence of women as their colleagues and superiors. They should acknowledge and appreciate the contributions of women in workplace. They should consciously try not to dominate in meetings and group interactions with respect to physical space used and time engaged in talking. They should be ready to hear the proposals given by women and process them seriously. Now, call for action for women to deal with gender differences in communication. Women should work at building networks through interpersonal communication involving both men and women for giving and receiving information. They should consider themselves equal to men with respect to use of organizational resources and benefits. Women should not be shy of, rather, develop the skills of putting forth their contributions and achievements in the organization wherever suitable. They should request and, if required, demand the use of more physical space and time for interaction in meetings and generally in organizations. They should learn to be assertive in communicating their suggestions and firm in communicating their decisions. Let's now understand the strategy to deal with gender differences in communication. It is important that both men and women develop awareness about each other's styles of verbal and non-verbal communication in order to avoid miscommunication and work together effectively. Psychologists have observed that men and women who are neutral in their communication style, rather than being stereotypically masculine or stereotypically feminine, have better interpersonal interactions. This highlights that one is capable of speaking language of multiple gender communities. So, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. There are differences in communication styles of men and women. These gender differences are largely created due to different socialization of girls and boys from childhood, including how they should and should not express themselves. If men and women do not understand these differences, there might be misunderstanding amongst them. So, steps should be taken to understand these differences and deal with them in a constructive manner at organizational level as well as individual level to ensure effective mixed gender communications at workplace. Thank you.